Buff on the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough. I'm Buff Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chosen Life podcast. I am your host, as always, the Chosen Lawyer. For episode 5, this is epic. You know, the Chosen Life podcast, this got built around the idea of interviewing one man. And I thought to myself, I dreamed this, I'm going to have it, and imagine, you're watching the NFL and you're watching the Super Bowl. And you're like, man, I want to meet Tom Brady. Well, I got to meet the Tom Brady of wrestling. He's here today, one-on-one. Man, he's no introduction, but he's going to get it because he is buff. He's a stuff. And the girls, they just can't get enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Buff Daddy himself, Marcus Alexander Buff Bagwell.
I can't help but say it myself. I'm buff. I'm the stuff. And the girls just can't get enough. And you know why? Look through your camera screen. Do not adjust your camera because it's not messed up. I truly am this good looking. So don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't think like, oh my God, my TV must be out of whack here a little bit. There's no way this guy looks that good. But guess what? This guy does look that good because I'm buff and I'm the stuff. Now, at the same time as I say that, I'm one of the most down-to-earth, coolest people that will shoot you straight forward and tell you exactly how it is and be straight up with you on every single thing that's getting ready to be asked today. And I just mean that means a lot to me because of fans. So first of all, I want to thank all the fans that may, come in and ask questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer all of them. I am real big on my fans, dude. Huge.
Very much so. Very
Huge
much so.
on my fans, because without the fans, there is no Stone Cold. There is no Rock. There is no Buff Bagwell. There is no Kevin Nash without the fans. So those guys, I'm not trying to dog them out. By no means. I love all of them. But they still, a little bit, wonder, who really is, the star here, and the star is the fans. They are. Without the fans, there is no star. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. One thing I want to ask the chosen one,
please.
It does say Vinny Bucci underneath.
Oh, we fixed all that. We got a production team. It's going to make beautiful. It's going to have your name, your handle. People are going to see how to contact Mr. Buff Bagwell. It all gets cleaned up. This is just the raw stuff as we're shooting it. Not going to look like this when we're done. I just don't want to make Vinny look as cool as I am. Vinny, people don't know, is Buff's manager. Has been very gracious to set us up today.
They would have hung up going, man, that Vinny's a cool,
good-looking guy.
He's cool as hell. He is so daggum cool. Oh my God. So yeah,
no, we're all good.
Short, regardless, he's my man. He's my agent. He's the one that takes care of me through all this. He sets all this stuff up for me because I'm not really tech savvy. But at the same time, when you know that red light's on,
it's showtime.
Buff Daddy's on. So
let's
do it. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it.
And let's go with it, baby.
All right. Well, I've envisioned this day from the moment I saw you enter the ropes, as a youngster and growing up with you. And we're going to talk about it. It's always been my dream to find out really how Buff got created. And, I've done a lot of internet research, Buff, and believe it or not, some of the key points of your life, I couldn't find enough. And this is going to be the ultimate source today. People are going to know who is Buff, how did Buff become where he is and where he's going. So let's jump into it. Number one, the history of Buff. And I have a 3-pointer on that one. The creation of Buff, the top hat, and the tune. So let's start off with the creation of Buff. The story of Nick Patrick on the airplane coming up with a nickname. How did that come to be up to the point when you entered the ring for the first time as Buff Bagwell?
fantastic. And you got to realize I entered the ring before that flight as Marcus Alexander Bagwell. And when we got on the plane, we realized that I was over. I had reached being over. I mean, there's no doubt I was a star. So what was the stars called? They were called The Rock. They were called Stone Cold. They were called Diesel. They were called Razor Ramon. They were called, Sting, Lex Luger. And with that said, that gave me a route to say, look, it's time to take poor, pitiful little Marcus Alexander Bagwell, which, believe it or not, got over. It really got over, bro.
He was like a young John Cena. Like the way John Cena came in, I don't think Marcus Alexander Bagwell was any different, man.
It really got over, dude. I mean, I'll be driving down the road with my Harley, and I'd pull up to the side of a car. And they would not say Buff. They would go, Marcus Alexander Bagwell. So I had to really be careful on what I said because, Buff was what I wanted to be, but Marcus Alexander Bagwell had a hell of a run. And it just so happens to be that was what it was. But at the same time, we had, so much to deal with. And coming home from that flight, it was definitely time to come up with a name. And we're in first class, all the stars. And when I say stars, and I mean that just as truthful as I can say it, I can't say it no other way. All of the stars were in first class. And Nick Patrick was one of our star referees. He was our lead referee. And he said, we are up there throwing names against the wall. We're trying everything. Bro.
You remember some of them now, looking back?
I swear to God, to be totally honest with you, I really don't. But we were digging and we were trying.
Okay.
And in the back, I'm talking about like 6B, 6A to be exact, because that's the window seat. And that's the furthest back you can go on a big jet coming from West Coast to East Coast.
Okay.
That's 6 rows. And this is before 9/11. And they said, Nick Patrick goes, what about Buff? It's pitch black dark back where he was. And everybody turned in that pitch black dark area and went, not another word was mentioned.
That was it.
That was it, bro. Buff Bagwell. Now, granted, I think I'm so thankful I came up with things that rhymed, like I'm buff and I'm the stuff and the girls can't get enough and I'm tough and I'm rough and I'm still the stuff. And you can go on and on and on with that. But I didn't know how lucky I really was with him coming up with that great saying. But he is all to do for coming up with Buff Bagwell.
It's amazing how one thing changes the course of your whole life. That one plane ride, that one saying, it just
Can you
became a whole persona.
imagine? I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's think about how much money that name made me.
And
This
WCW.
hat, the hat that I'm wearing, that I gotta take everywhere I go, that every person I go to, walking down to the, going down to the next, airline thing to take off, they would say, what is that box? And I go, the last thing you'll do is say, that's a hat. That's the last thing you want to say, right?
Right. So what do you say usually?
They had no idea that hat was on 15 action figures. And it was a big deal. So really, wherever this went is where I went. So that hat box was with me at all times. I never checked it, because I checked it once and it got stolen.
Damn. And
I kept it with me at all times. But Nick Patrick was definitely to do with Buff Bagwell.
so little known fact, I've done my research. So the first time you came out into a ring as Buff Bagwell turns out to be on my birthday. On November 25th was when you officially became to the world Buff Bagwell and joined the NWO, which was amazing. So we're kind of linked that way.
Cedar Rapids?
I don't have the city in front of me now, but it was when you turned on Scotty and became the heel character and the Buff that we all love.
Yeah. That wasn't Cedar Rapids there. That was when Eric said, look, you got 30 days
Yes.
to join or you're fired. And, don't get me wrong, it was play written that we were told to do this.
Of course.
And so we came out and Scotty trying to talk me out of it. And Scotty's trying to really talk me out of it because
Of course.
he knew once I went NWO,
It's no comeback.
he was not done because he was a great athlete. Scotty Riggs was one of my best friends, one of my best tag team partners. We were world tag team champions together. He's one of my 6 that I've had. They say 5, but it's 6, and I can name them all with 5 partners.
Amazing. Yeah, your memory is unbelievable, my friend. It's amazing all the stuff you've gone through your life, and you can name every conversation we've had. You can name every detail of your life. It's incredible.
I can tell you what outfit I wore, and I don't know how. I really don't. I swear to God, I don't. I promise I don't. But I'm so good at it. I'm so good at remembering what I was wearing, why I was wearing it. When it was Halloween Havoc, and we wore black and brown, black and orange, like Halloween, against the Nasty Boys for the titles, with Missy Hyatt and Tay Long, and it was just little things that people don't really understand, that I don't want to bury my tag team partners, but they know if they tell the truth that I came up with all of the outfits. I'm the one that came up with all of them. I'm the one that came up with the colors, the scheme, the right, the wrong. Me and Scotty Riggs coming up with the straps, black and white, and just every single thing Buff Bagwell always was part of, including Scotty Riggs's name.
Really? I did not know that you came up with the name.
And guess where it came from?
You were big into trucks?
Lethal Weapon.
Really?
Riggs and Bartaw.
Love it. That makes
that's
wow, you're blowing my mind right now.
That was hot during the time.
Yeah.
Trying to come up with this hot tag team. And I said, what about Scotty Riggs?
I
And
never thought
everybody
about it.
went, that's it. That's
Buddy, it's
it. Man.
perfect.
That's it. That's perfect. So that's where Scotty Riggs' name was born. And not that I want a pat on the back. I don't give a crap about that. I just care that it worked, and we made it work, and we became world tag team champions.
You made wrestling history. Listen,
Yeah,
yeah.
dude, shit,
So,
man.
so that being said, now when we're going back to the archives, now we talked about the hat a little bit, and who came up with the top hat? Who came up with the whole concept of you coming out with the hat? Sometimes the sunglasses on the back. Walk us through it.
The top hat came from. I was a huge hat person. I loved ball caps, but I like fitted ball caps. And Lids, it was the first company that come out where they all had fitted ball caps. But fitted ball caps are like nothing else. They're like, some fit a little tighter, some fit a little looser. And you had to actually try on every one to make sure it was comfortable. So in the middle of that one day, my second wife, she said, on the very top row, there was a top hat. And she said, why don't you try that hat on?
This was at a Lids store?
Lids store.
Okay.
And I put it on, and she went, and just her face sold it. I went, does it look that good? And she went, oh my God, it looks so cool. But keep in mind, I had no idea about putting Buff on it and NWO and Buff Daddy on the back and
your silhouette, boom. Yeah.
that.
Love it.
That on the front. I mean, there's nobody, we didn't know none of that. But I tried it on,
okay,
and I got made fun of for 2 months.
By who?
Everybody.
Really, eh?
But then everybody went, that's the coolest thing we've seen in a long time. Because it's very hard to come up with anything, a wristband, a ring, a necklace, a shirt, a hat, a pair of sunglasses, anything that can come up and make you be different on your own, set you aside. How many top hats in 25 years have you seen?
Fair enough. It's true.
None.
Nope.
Because if they did, it was going to be, oh, wait a minute. That's that Buff Bagwell top hat thing. So nobody had the balls. No, I mean, excuse my language, but
no, it's all good.
But they didn't. They didn't have the balls to stand up and be strong enough to look like me, to be as good looking and body wise and shape as me, to say, hey, I'm taking the top hat over. They didn't have it in them.
Brother, I can tell you that that's inspirational and inspires others to be the best them that they can be. Buff can wear the top hat. They can wear, dude, I wear a shirt of myself flexing. And you know what? You inspire me because I'm proud of the work I put in, and people want to laugh. They can laugh. At the end of the day, they're going to love it. So you inspire others, man. I love it.
And that's what I did. And it worked. I wasn't trying to be cocky or cool. It just worked. It just worked.
And it still does, man. Right to this day. It's timeless.
Yeah, it really is. It's timeless. And people are scared to go out and get that top hat.
I could tell you, I was at a memorabilia store and I believe they had one of your originals, and everything there was for sale. I said, how much for the top hat? They wouldn't sell it to me. I said, you got to be joking me. He's like, no, the owner of the store is a big Buff fan. He ain't selling the top hat. I refused to leave the store, and he wouldn't. And the next time I came there, it was gone. He pulled it because I think too many people were asking for it. Yeah. but I'm gonna find out the info for you. I know the store, and I'm gonna find out if it is one of the originals. But the
Oh
hats are
yeah.
out there.
Well, I can tell you this: all of my hats are at least 5 year long original because I just didn't have that many. I had a couple stolen. My favorite one was my red one.
Oh,
And
the red one was amazing. Yes, yes,
the
yes.
red was the hardest one to make.
That was the velvet one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the very hardest one to make because you had to paint it gray first, and then you had to bake it. And then you had to spray paint it red, and you had to bake it. Then you had to do all of the airbrushing and lightning bolts and all that stuff. So we're talking about, about a $600 or $700 hat.
There's a process to this. It's
Yeah,
no joke.
there really is. It's a big deal, and that's
Yeah.
why we couldn't sell them as gimmicks and as part of the WCW catalog before there was a computer, because what father's going to buy their kid a $700 top hat?
Otherwise, you got to put like a $50 one, and the thing's gonna get destroyed in about 2 minutes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So so but this is one of my all-time favorites. This is not quite as big. It's more of a, I call it the 2000 buff hat. And it still carries the symbol, and it still carries what I mean by carrying a top hat, and it still means a lot to me. And at the same time, though, you got to realize it's got to carry some swag with it,
Always.
And I carry the swag with that. And so I was very glad to do that and it be very popular and have some fun with it, So we had fun with it, and to know, like I said, nobody had the guts to go with that Buff Bagwell hat, because they knew it was going to be not their hat. It was going to be, oh, that's that Buff Bagwell hat,
There could only be one originator at the end of the day.
That's it, baby. That's it.
So let's keep in the line of swag, because you know my story. I've talked with you through Cameo, through Facebook. We became friends, and you know that when I go to my gym, on my playlist, every time I'm not gonna bench unless the Buff Daddy theme comes on. My all-time favorite wrestling theme song. That thing always pumps me up. I've asked you a few times. I'm gonna put you on the spot now. One of the few times I'm gonna say I'm not leaving this thing until we hear the story. I need to know for myself before I go down to my grave one day. How did it come to be? When did you hear that the song was written? Apparently Jimmy Hart wrote it. And when did you get the lyrics? When did you record it? Walk us through from beginning to end, from the time you heard about the Buff Daddy theme song to the final recording. How did it go down?
It's actually a great story. And it's I showed up to Columbia, South Carolina, and Jimmy Hart came to me. He goes, "We came up with a Buff Daddy song, and it's good." He goes, "And we really like it." But he goes, "We want your sound bites in there, like I'm Buff and I'm the stuff," and then and the laughs and all that.
And I'm simply delicious, and
yeah, I'm Buff and I'm the stuff and all that stuff, And we did all that with it. And then, believe it or not, that was the same night I broke my neck.
No.
Same night, Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm sitting there laying there going, oh my God, I just did my voiceover. What about my motorcycle? What about, and I just put down $100,000 on my new home that I was building in Woodstock, Georgia. So all of these things are going, oh my God, my Harley, can I ride my Harley again? I was paralyzed, I can't move. But thank God, medically, what happened was my spinal cord was bruised. And when it bruised my spinal cord from the injury, the injury you see on TV, where Rick kind of, my neck goes this way, it swelled. And when it swelled, I didn't know this, but swelling causes you not to be able to feel nothing. And then, so duct tape on my forehead, I'm on the flat board, MRIs, CAT scans, all that. And the doctor walks in and goes, set up. And I go, what? He said, set up, brother. And I go, are you joking? So I go to start setting up. They're pulling the duct tape off my forehead and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like moving this arm and just trying to keep in mind I was just paralyzed, bro. So I'm trying to figure it out, and I get around to the side of the bed, and I get up onto my feet, and I'm able to stand, and all it was once the swelling went down, because the spinal cord had not been severed, they allowed, because of the body allowing it, when the swelling went down, it allowed my body to move again. So I went from paralyzed 1,000,000% in my life for the rest of my life to being able to move again. You talking about a trip and a ride. I mean, wow. You can't get much deeper than that, bro.
Please don't tell me you recorded that song on a hospital stretcher.
No. No, but still, we still made a hell of a, it really did make a big difference. And there's only a few true witnesses that were there. There was Luger and Sting that rode in ambulance with me. And I came out, and I was so amazed, and we were such jokesters back then. Even being paralyzed was kind of like a joke, even though it's not a joke.
Of course.
I came out like all crippled over in the wheelchair.
Yeah. And
then I went. And they went, oh my God, what happened? What'd you do? And I go, dude, it was swollen, and I'm fine. I'm good to go. But one shove, one fall, one anything could have gone ahead and severed it, because my cervical disc was right against my cord. So it could have easily just cut my cord in half, and I've been paralyzed. So they put me in the hospital like jail, because they knew I would probably go to the gym and do everything I was supposed to do.
Of course.
And so they put me in the hospital for like a week. And I was like, I was about to flip. But even after my surgery, I could not touch a weight for 3 months. And I lost 50 pounds.
50?
50.
Wow.
And then in 10 months total, my first match back was against Rick Steiner and Goldberg, and against me and Scotty. And that was my first match back, and I was in Buff Bagwell shredded, body, back.
The Buff we know and love, yes.
To the point they didn't believe me, so the company had me go out and have to show my scar on television.
Yes.
Before they paid the $300,000 they owed WCW to pay for my surgery.
Unbelievable. And here I always pictured you going into the studio to record this thing. You're probably shirtless, baby oiled up, and ready to sing. I had no idea it was at the same time with the neck. And you still pulled it off. And you told me before, it didn't take a few takes. You're one take Bagwell in that song.
Oh, one take, baby. I'm one take wonder, baby.
It's a shame that song never won a Grammy. It's amazing. And a little sneak peek for everybody. You hinted on rebuilding Buff. A new Buff theme song is in the works, correct?
Yes, it is. Oh my God, there's so much coming up in 2022 that we can't talk about yet. But let's just say everybody's going to be very happy. And we're just really excited about all of it.
It's gonna
So
be a huge, huge year.
it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a big year for Buff, and not to mention back in the ring. I'm moving back in the ring again. So within this year.
Well, before we sum up today, and we still got a few topics to go, I am going to ask you about that. But looking back on your career, Buff, if you had to look back in your prime, in your peak point, if you were at WrestleMania, because we just had the Rumble recently, WrestleMania is coming up. If you were going to appear in WrestleMania, I'm sure it's gone through your mind. If you could have had any dream opponent at that point, anyone, any federation, who would you have wanted to be in the ring with? Your headline WrestleMania. Who do you see?
Seth Rollins or and I mean logical. I'm being truthful and logical. Seth Rollins and who is the boy that has the cowboy father?
RKO, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
One of my favorites. Still going it. Look at him, 20 years, and he's got the buff body, and he's still going, man.
That's why I would like to be. I bet you he's roughly my same age. I bet you he's close to 50.
He's got to be now, absolutely.
So I'm 52.
Yeah.
So I just would like to add somebody up against him, and because I loved him, I was a big fan of his. Always was a big fan of his, and would have loved to have had a good match with him.
That's a great one. That would have been a dream for me. I know I would love to see you guys. You guys are so evenly matched. I could have seen that, and the entrances in, it would have been spectacular.
Cocky, the up on the turnbuckle, and the way he did it, the way he did everything was just the way I would do it.
Love.
And so we were really had a lot in common.
If we're gonna finish our talk on memory lane, two names you're familiar with. Before Marcus Alexander Bagwell, before the Buff, there was Fabulous Fabian, and there was that handsome stranger.
Oh God, that's two great ones.
Amazing. They're in the archives. They are on YouTube, so check them out. Yes. Please, who came up with those gimmicks, and why did they not take as well?
The Fabulous Fabian, it wasn't that it didn't take, it just was owned by someone else. So the Fabulous Fabian was my very first wrestling name.
Oh, you weren't even under Marcus. You were Fabulous Fabian, first time in the ring.
First time in the ring, Fabulous Fabian. And Joe Pedicino is who thought of that character. And our company was North Georgia Wrestling.
Okay.
And it's pretty hard to be able to be in a company that you're automatically on TV. That's rare in the indie world. In the indie world, you just hope to get, in a few matches and learn and go from there. I was on TV my very first match.
So not a small house show, nothing. You're right on TV.
I'm on TV out of the gate.
Do you remember who your first opponent was?
No, but I remember I was the World Tag Team Champion. First thing they did. I mean, not tag team, World Champion.
Right away.
They made me the World Champion right away. And talk about heat. They talk about heat in the world of pro wrestling. I call it jealousy. They call it heat. But still, it was just like, oh my God, they're giving this kid the world title. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But there wasn't nobody else that looked better. There wasn't nobody else that could work much better. Why not give him a chance? Why not give him a shot, So we used me a lot with Steve the Brawler Lawler, who trained me.
Yep.
And which passed away recently, which God rest his soul, but he died of COVID. And but still he was a great trainer and taught me a lot. Back when you wasn't supposed to teach that kind of stuff, you were supposed to let us learn on our own, and learn on your own and be taught on your own. And but at the same time, he was a little easier on us and let us know a little more once he saw that that I had what it took. He backed off.
How long did you last as Fabulous Fabian, and then did you go straight to being the handsome stranger from there?
Fabulous Fabian was, I would say, a year.
Okay.
And then I went straight to the handsome stranger.
Okay, and walk us through that one. Please tell me you came up with that
Believe it
one.
or not, Demolition, Bill Eadie is who thought of handsome stranger. One of the toughest, baddest guys in the planet. Bill Eadie thinks of the handsome stranger.
He played Axe, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
of course, you don't argue about who you are at that stage. You're just glad you got a position, you got a place, and you do your best job you can. And so we were literally going to be the third biggest company. There was going to be WCW, there was going to be WWF, there was going to be GWF. And GWF just couldn't hold on because of finances. And WCW, I got a call one day from Magnum TA, and he said, look, Dusty's got an appointment with you tomorrow. And he wants to meet with you. And I went down and met with Dusty. And I said, Dusty, I said, look, I said, they want me to come down and do another TV taping. I said, look, bro, I said, come on, man. I said, I'm past this. I said, you know, and I know I'm past this. I said, let me just come to WCW now. And he was kind of against it at first. And then he said, you know what? He goes, I think we can make it work with your name being Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Use your real name, which I was against all the way. But he really wanted to use my real name.
Interesting.
And he wanted to show people that the rookie, the little young rookie boy, could hold his own in the business. And how he used me was every time Sting had a world title match, his partner would beat my brains out. And then he would come out and make the save on me. And that built up heat for their match.
Yes.
And it set their match up. And so I filled a good void. Here I am rubbing elbows with superstars. And at the same time, I'm helping them set up their match, So it worked out tremendously good. And it worked very good. And Sting loved me. He was a great guy. I love him to death to this day.
Still going. Still going.
And he's still a man. And
Yeah.
I still love him. And it just worked out that way to where I was kind of like Sting's little protege. And so they used it that way, and that's how we worked it. And we went that way, and it worked.
So when you showed up to WCW, the handsome stranger was buried. It was done. He never came back.
Well, they tried to buy it from Bill, and he wanted to sell it, but he wanted to sell it for $50,000.
How much did he want at the time?
He wanted 50.
Okay.
And Bill goes, Ted goes, look, bro, who else are you gonna get to be the handsome stranger that looks as good as him under a mask, and everybody know he's still good looking? I mean, come on, man. Come on. Let's just call it like it is. Let's make it 25. And he goes, no, 50.
And in today's numbers, that's probably equivalent of like 200-300.
Yeah. And so Ted said, forget it. We don't need that name. He's over. He's going to be over enough. His real name. So they did. We used Marcus Alexander Bagwell, and that's what we used, and it worked.
it's funny, you know, that you had the Zorro mask and everything, but you know, looking back now, the top hat beats the Zorro mask any day of the week.
Oh
And
yeah.
and in reality, when you look at a lot of people now, when they're jumping between you know, different companies, when they leave, they don't get to take their name with them, you know, and then they have to find a whole
No,
new persona. I think they did you the biggest favor in the world
they
because they
did.
let you be
They
you.
really did.
Yeah.
I never had to do the formerly known as. They give me my name. I owned my name. But don't get me wrong, I was a little bit of brains behind that too, to buy my name and own my name. But
Yeah.
still,
And you own Buff.
they could have easily made a stink out of that if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And but the bottom line was, I owned Buff Bagwell.
You know, there's a guy out there wrestling right now that I think owes you a big thank you, maybe even a royalty check, and that's MJF. You know, do you see how he's out
Oh,
there?
I hear. You know what?
Dude, he's you. He's embodying you every time out there,
He's a huge Buff fan.
as he should be.
He's a huge Buff fan. I met him, and I go, "Can I get a picture with you?" And he goes, "Can I get a picture with you?" And I said, "Sure, bro. Hell yeah, you can, man. You know." FTR was the same way. They were like, "Dude, can we get a picture with you, bro? You're Buff Bagwell, man." And I was like, "Hell yeah, you can, dude." So I found myself in a really weird spot this last WrestleCon where
Yeah, yeah.
I had to find myself as, very humble and in a spot of being the legend instead of being the star.
Right.
And that's okay. I didn't care. I just didn't know quite how to play both. And so I went to Jerry Lawler and I asked him, I said, "How do you do this? I mean, tell me. I mean, what do you do? And he goes, "Just be yourself. Just be yourself, bro."
Well, that's one thing I could tell you. When I envision the past, the present, the future of Buff Bagwell, you know, and you call rebuilding Buff, I say back to Buff. You know, it's time to go back to Buff. You know, we need Buff.
Buff.
We've come to a society. We come to wrestling that's PG. It's bland. We need Buff in our lives. You know, we need to
Yes.
embody Buff. We need to embrace going to the gym, looking good, feeling good, and
Back to Buff.
my trainer Jared and I, when
it.
we were training one afternoon and we were talking about it, and we're playing Buff Daddy in the background, it was like, we gotta get back to Buff. That's it. Back to Buff.
That's it. No, I love it. I love it.
So when I'm
great.
So when I'm visioning, and I watch wrestling today, and I gotta tell you, like, I'm bored out of my mind, and I can't watch most of it. It's just, I think it's completely unwatchable, unfortunately, and it's all across the board.
It's sad. It's sad.
It's very sad. What they've taken our beautiful sport, our entertainment, and they almost like they're trying to flush it down the toilet. And I, when I see people, they get third chances, 5 chances, 10 chances, and I'm watching Bobby Lashley come out for the Rumble, and MVP is there with him, and I'm saying to myself, why can't Buff be the manager here? Why can't he be the mouthpiece? Why is he not commentating on this match? Please bring back Buff.
That's me and
right?
Conrad Thompson have got
yes,
an interview.
The godfather of the wrestling podcast. Yes,
we got an interview next week about everything we're talking about, and even he is on my side of, look, no matter what he did, I don't care if it's true, not true. How can you not give a Buff Bagwell a second chance? How can you not do that?
Not in a fifth. We're just saying a second.
How's that possible, bro? How's it possible? But they've done it, bro. They've done it where I never got a second chance. Never. And I even came at them with things that were great offers. Yep. Like, don't pay me a dime. I said, don't pay me a dime. Just if you let me come work for you for a couple of weeks, pay for my airfare and rent a car and things like that. But don't pay me a dime for wrestling. And whatever you want, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 week, whatever it is you want to see me as, then make your decision of, look, we want him or we don't. I said, you got no money invested. I said, and it's just a no-brainer, So I gave him that idea and that didn't bite. So Now I've got Conrad, even Conrad, as bad as Conrad didn't like me at first, and me and Conrad had words, but now we're all cool and we got a great relationship. Just simply look, man, come on. Really? You're not gonna give Buff Bagwell a second chance? One of the top guys in NWO, one of the top bodies in the history of pro wrestling.
You were wrestling in that era. You absolutely were, and the hottest time in wrestling, and Buff was the stuff. Like there was no doubt. You were the most charismatic. You had the whole package, and it hasn't gone away. It's still there. And for any of the cons that are watching, Tony Khan, Nick Khan, Vince, anybody watching right now, this is a person that's coming, and you've been very open and spoken about it, saying clearly, I'm here. I'm in shape. I just want the chance. I want to contribute. I'm here. Give me the chance. Let's do it. And you know what?
If you don't like it, let me go. That's all good. I dig it. But for them not to even give me another chance, and it just really, it does kind of blow my mind. But at the same time, you can't, the more you cry about it and all that, the more they're just not going to listen. But at the same time, it does hurt my feelings a little bit that, you're not going to give me a second chance at showing, what kind of star I was, because I was a big star. I was, and I really got over as Buff Bagwell. And to not 100%. Give me that chance again, it just is a little bit silly.
So I start up, I run AEW, and I come to you and I'm like, Buff, listen, I'm hearing you, man. This is not 20 years ago. This is today. You're sincere. You're great with the fans. You're great with everyone. You're obviously a great talker. You have the great look. Let's talk about it. I'm going to give you the opportunity now. Where do you want to begin? What do you envision yourself? If you're going to step right now into an arena, what role would you like? I'll give you your dream role right now. Tell me about it.
I would do something to where you got to realize AEW, for example, is very, 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 very WCW like. So I think anywhere in there would work, whether it would be, I'd come out against Orange Kid, and he puts me over, I put him over, whatever, just whatever they had planned for that kind of angle. Me and Sting in a tag team match, against two other people. You're talking about the only two guys that did the full 11 years at WCW. Sting and myself, only two. Everybody else.
Everybody talks about Sting, but they forget it was you too, right?
It was only two, brother. It was me and him. And so just I think everybody's a little bit scared. And that's why I've really touched base with Dallas to get everybody on board with knowing that somebody's speaking in my behalf that everybody believes in, and that's Dallas. And knowing that I'm really back to Mark Bagwell again. I'm back to Mark. And that's the whole catch. It was, for a while I got a little bit lost, a little depressed, and it was a little bit wild and all that. But still, when you go from making $1 million a year to 175, aren't you allowed a little bit of a break? My goodness. So that's where it come from, and I just would love to get another chance.
How are you in Dallas these days? Are you guys tight?
Oh, super tight. He's got a show coming out.
Okay.
And I can't talk much about it. But
no, that's okay.
He's got a really good show coming out.
Okay.
That's going to just it's going to tell all, and so just be looking forward to that. It's going to be something hopefully that's really, really good. And it's just going to be a chance for what we're talking about, just seeing guys that, may get another chance and let's see, but he's just, Dallas is such a great guy. He's just such a helper and believer of true talent, and knowing some guy that did get the raw end of the deal, and me being one of those guys, and then sitting there going, hey, look, let's do this,
It's one of the last questions I was going to ask you, and it was a little bit of a touchy subject because I saw a couple of interviews with Dallas and him talking about you, and he speaks very, very highly of you. He speaks
Yes.
highly of your talent, of what you did, what you're going to do, and he sees it. He manifests it. So
Yeah, he
you know he's
does.
got the vision. That being said, what effect is Dallas having on your career currently? And if he came to you and said to you, "Listen, Mark, you know what? I have the secret sauce. I've done it with Jake. I've done it with other guys. Let me take care of you. You just be you, and I'm gonna run the ship now." What do you say to him?
Well, that's the part a minute ago I almost said too much, and
No, no, it's okay.
I'm not really supposed to be talking about it, but I can tell you this: the
Yes.
fans need to be excited. The fans need to be ready because in 2022, Buff's got a bunch of stuff going on, and it's all going to be really good stuff of people that are behind him, believe in him, and care for him. And Dallas Page is the lead horse man on that because he's such a great guy and everybody believes in him. And if he says so, if he says that you know that he hung the moon, he hung the moon, bro. And that's just the way it is. And I love it. And he's on my side. And he's been talking real good about me. And this lately there was something on the internet where Dallas talks to Buff about having his troubles and he's going to come at me and help me out and all this. So there's a lot of good things coming up and that are going to, you got to realize, bro. Yeah, I'm 52, which sounds kind of old, but bro, Sting and those guys, God bless them. I love them to death. They're my best friends, but we're talking about they're 62, 63, 65.
Easy. Some of them are pushing
So
70
I mean,
almost. They're going.
that's 10 years,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
10 years I got on them. And that ain't trying to be ugly. Sting's one of my favorite people in the world. I worship the ground he walks on. I worship the ground Kevin Nash walks on. I worship the ground Dallas Page walks on.
Yeah.
Scott Hall too. It's just, well, you got to call a spade, and that is, they are older than me by 10 years. And so 10 years is a long time, bro.
And they've gone through their cycles and they've had
Oh
their
yeah.
ups and downs and they're still writing their stories.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I would say about the public. I love the public. I don't always love the public for certain reasons. It's because we have this fascination as a society that we want to build them up, that we want to see them broken down, and then we want to see them brought back up again.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. It's all a cycle. It's like the stock market. And you, my friend, are only on the rocket ship back up because now the public wants to see it. They don't want to see Buff going down. They want to see Buff only going up, and people are excited by it. And people's memories tend to haze, and then they remember the glory days again.
You know the deal. For a long time, it was like even when cops would pull me over, they would let me go because I could tell they could let me go, and they wasn't quite sure, but they'd let me go. And then all of a sudden, it became cool to arrest Buff Bagwell. And so I went through that, and then I had to fight through all that. And then just back and forth through that fight. And then now I finally just said, look, I'm done fighting. Vince was the only company to turn me down for rehab. I'm the only person in the history of pro wrestling that Vince McMahon turned down to go to rehab. And so I just said, look, I said, I'm stronger than this. I can do this myself. And I've done so. I don't drink. I do what, don't get me wrong. I may have a beer here and there, but I'm not a drinker. Mm-hmm. Pills are completely out of my whole world. And pills are really that's the devil for us, because pills are, even if you're not a drinker, you drink to kick the pills in. And that's why they're so addictive, is because you drink to kick the pills in. And once you can just kick the pill habit, you're already not an alcoholic. So you're killing two birds with one stone of being back to Buff Bagwell. So that's where I'm at. I'm that close to being Buff Bagwell again all the way, because I mean, as you hear my voice, you've not heard a stutter, you've not heard a slur, you've not heard one thing in this conversation, and you won't ever again, because
I hear confidence.
Buff Bagwell is back, and he's back in the saddle again, brother.
Look at the Ultimate Warrior. You know, he was blacklisted from the WWE. We're never going to hear from him again. And guess what? He made it to the Hall of Fame. He got back into the good books before he passed. Yeah. And you know what? If he can do it, Hogan, how many times did they say he's never going to come back? So everybody gets the chances at the end of the day. I think you're approaching it the perfect way, my friend. The fans are definitely behind you. I've seen it on the message boards. There's a lot of love for you. And, you know, everybody only wants to see the best for you, my friends. So 2022 is going to be the year of the Buff. No doubt about it.
It's going to be tremendous. And I wish I could just tell you, I mean, just like 3 or 4 things that are coming, but I can't. But in the next month or so, everybody will know. And it's really huge things that are coming out for me on 2022.
Well, you and I have spoken about it. This is not going to be our only conversation this year, so we're going to talk throughout the year, and we'll get to.
I've got all the dates wrote down. And
yeah,
we're all excited.
Buff is the only regular on the Chosen Life podcast that's confirmed, and he is the man. He's the lead horse, and you're going to be hearing from him regularly. We're going to talk about everything wrestling, buddy. I want to talk about how you train, how you got the body, how you keep the body. There's a lot of stuff we got to cover this year.
I want to do all of that, dude, and I'm so easy to talk to. And I'm so easy to explain it in a way that people understand it without having to go crazy deep. It's just logical. And I'm able to do that and make that very positive for people. And also give them my website, which is marcusbuffbagwell.com. And I'm going to have a thing on there that says diet. And you will go to that website, and you will go to my website, marcusbuffbagwell.com, and you'll go to diet, and you'll read what it asks for, which that's not easy. And that asks for you to be honest about what you ate today for about a week. I need what went in your mouth, what time it went in your mouth for about a week. If you give me that, I can change your life magically.
Amazing. Well,
that's how much I know about this business and how much I know about the body.
Look at the pictures behind you. The proof was in the pudding. You did it. Yeah, you sustained it. You can even see
there wasn't no, you know,
no airbrushing. That's all Buff. That's the real McCoy, baby.
That's it, baby. That's just a picture, bro.
And you know a guy is jacked when he's wearing a long sleeve tee and the guns just want to be bursting out. So we know you're in shape. You're saying you're only about a couple weeks out if you have to go into the ring shape wise. So
yeah, I'm ready, guys. I'm 255 with abs. So I mean, tomorrow, if my knee was righty, I'd be ready. I'd be ready 100% tomorrow.
You'd be running the ropes.
My knee's just not quite ready yet to run the ropes. I'm about a month out from that, and then I'll be ready to go, man.
So if you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, you're in your 80s, and you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I can do this or not. Buff's doing it. Find out how. So Buff, that's a great idea. And we're going to put a link at the bottom of this podcast episode so people will know to reach you at marcusbuffbagwell.com. You're also very, you're busy on social media. You're on Instagram.
Yeah, and also when you go to marcusbuffbagwell.com, it also shows you how to get to my Instagram, how to get to my Facebook, and how to get to my all my social media.
So wait, so Marcus your website, marcusbuffbagwell.com. Yeah. That's your one-stop shop for Buff.
Boom. You go there and one-stop shop. You can get anywhere you want to get in Buff Bagwell's world.
Amazing. So we're going to put the link there and encourage everyone to please check it out and reach out and say hello. You are honestly one of the most engaging celebrities to ever meet with your fans, and you put positive energy out there. You're helping people, and everybody just wants the best for you, my man. So thank you so much for spreading that word.
Hey man, I appreciate it so much. Like I said, we got another date coming up and I can't wait.
Very soon.
So let's just stay in touch. And if you need me for anything, I'm a phone call away and we'll go from there, my brother.
We text on a constant basis. Buff, any last final thoughts for the viewers?
Really, just really, a while back, I wanted something hit me. My podcast guy had a shirt on that said "Rebuilding Buff," and as I read it, I thought, I wonder if fans would really understand what that means. And I'm not sure they did. So I really went in depth on that, but I want to go in depth in that again. And that is rebuilding Buff means changing Buff's lifestyle, changing Buff from walking in bars with double fisted with liquor and having a good time and partying and all that, down to being serious and getting the fan base behind him again, and not slurring words on shows like this, and just let people really hear the true Buff Bagwell, and just know that Buff Bagwell's back. And really, what I really like to say is the real Marcus Bagwell's back.
Love it. Love it. So we're rebuilding Buff. We're going back to Buff. We're bringing Buff back to society. Buff, thank you so much for taking the time for us today on The Chosen Life. I'm going to do the sign off if you can follow my cues. So I always do the flex. And I always say, until next time, keep living the chosen life.
Choose the low chosen life and keep living the chosen life, because I'm Buff, I'm the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough.
Love it. Thanks, brother.
Hey, man. Thank you, brother.
Talk soon.
Have a good one.
Wait a minute. Are we still running? Well, I know you already hit the subscribe button, the like button to say how much you love this episode, and the notification bell so you get notified of all our future episodes. But you still feel like you want more. Well, when you're ready to contact the chosen lawyers at Kormans LLP, we are here to help you. Whether you're looking to close a real estate transaction, a refinance, a corporate commercial matter like a lease, a shareholder agreement, an incorporation, you need a will or power of attorney prepared, a family law matter comes up, contact the chosen lawyers. We are here for you. So how do you get in touch with us? It's really simple. You go onto our website, go to kormans.ca, that's KORMANS.ca, fill out the contact form, and a chosen lawyer will get in touch with you. So it's very easy. We look forward to seeing you very soon. And thank you very much for watching The Chosen Life. We'll see you back very shortly.